them the tip, but this is probably the closest out of draft.
Fair enough. Marby goes with Flash, and we head on to the Rift. Of course, Rebel stays with us. So, Marby, we'll talk to you after this game. Don't you worry. But here we go. The decider is online. We actually haven't had too many game 3s, just in general this split. A lot of 2-0s. So, always fun to add another one. As Summoner's Rift spans before us. This is a really big win for Sky if they want to keep their hopes of avoiding relegation alive. Because remember, relegation is back in play. Oh, there's a Summoner's being used, and that's a Flash burn from Glory.
How in the world did that happen? How in the world did they actually end up burning the Flash?
He must have just gotten somehow tagged by the Braum.
He must have got tagged by the Braum, but, like, there's nowhere in that river that he should have been caught completely off guard. Like, even unless they, like, blind queued into the brush and Glory, like, wasn't paying attention for a split second, got caught by it, and then just had to run around the corner, and that's what forced the Flash out. But such a strange positioning for an RE to actually be in a place like that in the first place. So it kind of a loss at the beginning. But going back to what you're talking about, obviously, again, BTS, if they want to turn their split around, having this as a victory in their back pocket is a huge one. Because again, their strength of schedule doesn't get easier from this point. It gets quite a bit harder from this point on. And for Flash, again, this is a team that's actually a decent amount of proof that you've got something in the back pocket as well, where it's like, okay, you could take your 3-2, take the 4th spot in the league definitively, and you can prove that you're able to play against players that have been there and done that in playoffs, players that have been able to at least show off a little bit of what they're able to do. I know Winter Split is not real, never actually existed here in the VCS, but at minimum, with some of the mild amounts of success this guy was able to find, Team Flash getting a pretty convincing win here would be massive for what I would have to expect their confidence against even some of the better teams in the league.
For sure. As Jinx, as usual, able to control the wave fairly well, but no interest in really shoving it, seemingly, from Flash. It makes sense. They don't want to get punished, particularly with their jungler pathing towards them, while Xin Zhao will be heading towards the top side, potentially trying to influence this top lane matchup to make sure Ryuk has a better time than game 1. Something to keep an eye on. But so far, early games have not been super exciting in this series.
No, they have not. They've been excruciatingly boring, which is very rare for VCS to not have a bunch of action to begin things. We haven't even seen, like, Rift Herald flips for the most part. We've seen some meandering. Yeah, we've seen, like, a kill or two, but we haven't gotten our full-on, like, 5-on-5 round Rift Herald that gives, like, a 3,000 gold swing at only, like, 8 minutes into the game or anything like that. Both these teams, again, the first 10 minutes seem to be solidly game planned, right? Like, they seem to be in a position where it's like they're making proper decisions. It's just at some point, immediately the IQ switch, I think, gets turned down quite a bit. The Rhea stat ends up getting swapped down a little bit, unfortunately.
Oh, no. Yoshino moving forward, has the Q, he flashes, and that's going to be a solo bolo. Yoshino playing the other side of the matchup. Picks up the kill, and Ryuk, mate, you're not meant to write your own name in the Death Note.
Right as Drakthar finishes the clear, too. One more camp, or at least a handful more minions off the Krugs, and that would have been an easy coverage from Drakthar, as he would have been able to get up there and help out his top laner after Ryu. It looked like he expanded just a little bit too far, trying to get the level 4, trying to get the minions pushed in a little bit against Yoshino. I want to see what the exact... Yeah, look at him. Look how far up the lane he is. You're doing this against the Camille, man. He loses the flash, too, I think, trying to get away from the Q, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, might need some Yoshas in the chat with that one, because he played that to a very high level. Jungler's trying to make something happen on both sides, but neither of them have found anything so far, but it does look like Flash is interested in a big dive. Elio caught, but there's no follow-up because there's a Gromp in the way of Ikigai. So in the end, they just back off.
They're just yoinking the camp. Nothing too crazy. They're playing off the back that, like, Jinx has the ability to shove in waves right there. Slater hadn't done it, and so Elio got to walk away pretty freely, but had already been there. And more importantly, again, the RE doesn't have a bunch of wave control against the Rise to begin with. It's really tough to get it against that champion. For some reason, I thought that heal just got burnt again. I was like, "There's no way he just healed that, right?" But yeah, it was nice support from the mid and the support position. So they just give up the camp. Ends up being a little bit into the pocket of Ikigai, not super influential. The redeploy from Ikigai actually is going to catch Drakthar on his Raptors. Interesting. We probably won't see a bunch of fighting between these two, most certainly. But Glory in the back pocket means that Ikigai's in a little bit worse. He got the smite off on the big Raptor as well, so Drakthar ends up getting out heavy-handed and loses a little bit of time just because No-Go's already prepared for what is the move in. Just a bunch of wave control into the favor of Glory as well. You can see how far up this wave is for the RE.
Yeah, Drakthar's okay though. He can go over the wall. He did steal away a few of the little nuglings as well, so he's had a decent meal. So yeah, it's not a bad passage of play really for either team. Good hop there. Ooh, Yoshino may have gone a little bit too far as he gets gnarred into the wall, followed up with the wallop. Now Yoshino's got to try and find a way out. He's getting lower and lower. Gets a bit of a heal, dodges the stun. The boulder toss stops him from turning anything around, but he does live.
Yeah, Yoshino actually plays that, once again, I think masterfully, just because it's in a position where Yoshino needs to dodge a stun, that's great. And the follow-up could have potentially been there from Ryuk, but more importantly, the Narbar was running out, and if Nar happens to run out of Narbar in the midst of that process, Yoshino immediately drops the ultimate as soon as the boomerang comes out. The E can't get away from from the Camille, and then she just absolutely blows him to smithereens because the cooldowns are already down and he's in mid-Nar with not that much health. So it's good on Yoshino to be able to get out of that situation with relative ease, and Ryuk respecting it as well. Now having his jungler come up for what is a lane gank, making sure that there's no vision here, but that means that if the wave bounces off, which is anticipated, there is possibility, or if Yoshino decides to jump in an attempt to make a play against Ryuk, that could also be punished as well. I'm a little upset that full back came through because Yoshino ended up getting baited up further into the wave. If they had been patient and waited like 10 seconds, they would have killed Yoshino almost certainly right there.
I think Drakthar had been a little ways off actually recalling, so kind of needed to get it in. The timing was fairly important, particularly to get a redeploy in time for a Rift Herald, which is up in about 30 seconds. But yeah, you are right. Sometimes it's just a few seconds of difference. It happens. Yeah. But Yoshino is looking good.
Yeah, being the omnipotent gods that we are, we know that would have been fine, but they probably didn't. And you have to think about dragon coverage on bottom side. You have to think about the Rift Herald that's going to be spawning. They're thinking about all the plays that we aren't thinking about at the moment, so that's the important bit. Like you said, Yoshino playing really well. The 1 kill advantage is nice over top of the Gnar. And again, once you're past the first item, once you're onto Sunderer, all of a sudden the lane, I think, breaks open quite a bit more for the Camille because the threat is there of not only the tower taking, but individual kill. And nothing is really going the way of Sky at the moment, right? Mid lane's up a little bit of farm, that's good. But Glory, I was a little worried right there between the two, but they aren't going to be able to find Glory for anything, and the ultimate is available, so the RE is under no threat. You can see both supports poking their way up into mid lane. I want to see them siphon a little bit of experience. If one of them can get level 6, that is a huge boon for the Rift Herald take, but
doing it for Artie.
Say whether one of them is close enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure how close he is, as you said. I don't think he's going to hit 6 off that last minion, so it is going to be...
Elio did!
Elio hit 6, right.
That's huge.
Actually really big. This is a big mistake if Team Flash wants to take this fight, and I think Sky knows it. Artie just doesn't have access to that Glacial Fissure. It's going lower. Almine just gets killed, though! How has that happened? That's a real disaster, because now there's a numbers advantage. In they go. Ikigai not in a position to smite, so the Herald will go over to Sky regardless. Artie gets blown up immediately. That's a big kick through 3, but Ryuk goes mega. He throws Ikigai into the wall, who has to W away. Drakthar wants to follow it up. Its flashes being burned by both, and now a charm onto No-Go. The Grand Entrance doesn't knock him up, but Drakthar's spear will do the job. Yoshino goes in to try and be a hero. Can he put on the cape? It looks like it as he keeps moving forward. Does he have access to another hook shot? No, not quite yet, and he's not in range.
Oh my goodness, that fight was so close to breaking open for Flash because all you needed is one excited proc on Slater at the very end there, and probably at least 2 of those members go down. This was the catch in the mid lane that kind of led this whole situation going down, which is Amine going down to No-Go and Slater trying to catch the mid wave for some reason, because there's so much that you gain from having the level 6 on Elio. Thankfully, the fight won by Drakthar, and I love the ultimate afterwards as well. because you're able to split up so much of this. The front line from Drakthar is able to come through. The remainder of this fight's difficult as well. Ryuk finds an amazing ultimate, but again, it looks like they're poking away at a fight that not everybody wants at exactly the same time. And you can see that in a number of situations. I love Slater's ability to kind of just throw in autos here, although the target selection gets a little confusing to me. You can see right here, like throw another auto. There were 2 autos that I think didn't go on to Drakthar that could have gone on to Drakthar that would have forced him out of the fight faster and maybe would have won you some more attack speed to solo down Ryuk. But one way or another, just to trade back and forth. But ultimately, Sky takes the advantage because they've got the Rift Herald in their back pocket.
Yeah, that they do. I think they come out very far ahead there. It stabilizes Ryuk in the matchup as well. He picked up 2 kills, so Yoshino can't bully him quite as easily. And he's actually got the Herald as well. Of course, Drakthar wasn't able to pick it up. So we'll have to see if he can redeem himself after a bit of a lackluster lane. Everything else
really important
fairly even. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, my biggest problem right now is that obviously there's like gold in the right places, or gold I think in top side for both teams, but neither ADC is going ahead. And again, this has been one of the most important things: is these teams have gone to team fighting multiple times now, where it's all about being sure to have your big damage and your big damage dealers in the right position and being able to put out damage. Amine got shut out in that last fight, and the assist had gone on to Slater. Slater was close to picking up an additional kill as well during the course of that fight. And so it feels like Slater has had more gold in the back pocket. And again, I want to see somebody play towards this ADC because while Ryuk is doing well, while Drakthar is doing well, the damage on this team is not there. I feel like Yoshino and Nogo actually do a fair substantial amount more damage than what their counterparts do when it comes to laning, when it comes to kind of eventually in the team fight. Unless you get these massive ultimates off as Ryuk or something along those lines. So eventually Team Flash is going to want to translate this into something beyond just a couple of kills on Gnar, something else, and use these two in very big order form to try to get their bot laner
Yoshino
ahead.
caught, has to use the ult. I don't think he has access to the hook shot. He does it when he's dead, as he just gets popped at the end.
It's just Rift Herald drop. I think it might just be full tower take. They'll probably drop 2 plates before they end up dropping the Rift Herald, which makes the most sense. They'll try to rush down the 3rd plate. There's a play on the bottom side.
Trying to go under tower here, but that is shocking that it even worked out. Ikigai will fall, but it's a 2-for-1, so not actually the worst situation ever. Particularly if they can get Slater some plates, try and make up for it. Really smart. Really, really smart, Glory.
Incredible.
Yep, you love to see it.
Very well played. Yeah, especially because topside is already going completely awry for you right now. The Rift Herald's going to get an additional charge, and yes, Camille's going to be back finally. But the kill on a Yoshino combined with all of the plates that went down in the top tower, first tower gold, that's humongous. And the trade-off being the double kill on bottom side, while I could appreciate the masterclass kick from Ikigai and the kill going on to Jinx, it doesn't match at all what they just won on the top side. Yeah, very close. The hook shot, unfortunately, not landing in time to be able to get him out of that situation. And again, a couple of kills is great. A couple of kills is a couple of kills, but for the amount of gold that you just gave up to 2 pretty massive team fighters, you're still not really loving this from the side of Team Flash. Now, if you pull 3-4 plates and you put it only into the pockets of Slater, I'm a lot more comfortable with how this situation goes, even if you don't get the full tower. But this situation is just completely disastrous, because again, you've given so much over to the front line of Sky now that Slater's not going to be able to work through that front line to any extent.
That's very true. We have nothing really on the map at the moment, but of course that never stops the VCS from fighting. As another big wave crashes into Ryuk. Yoshino not in any position to zone him away at the moment. Ikigai, again, this is someone I'm keeping my eye on, because his Jarvan performance in the last game. So far the Lee Sin's been alright. The mechanics have been pretty damn good. Positioning and where he is on the map, maybe not amazing, as Ryuk goes mega but misses the wallop, so Yoshino wants this one. The E away isn't good enough, but the R away sure is. Now the rest of Flash arrives. Nogo has used a spellbook Ghost, but the recall's just going to complete anyway.
Yeah, Nogo just like flooding up here to make sure there is no coverage, and Ryu doesn't have teleports. They could shove this wave. They're just leaving. And that feels a little weird because they have power. I know a lot of the gold has actually gone under Ryuk and Drakthar, so maybe that's what they're afraid of, especially with Glory having a charm and Everfrost already completed. 20 CS advantage as well in the mid lane, kind of insane for Glory, but yeah, it felt weird for them to just kind of shift that heavily up into topside just to immediately leave. It did force Sky, I guess, to respond a little bit, so they lost a little bit of pressure on bottom side, which is trying to be exploited by Slater, because Elliot is only just now pathing into bottom river, and Aomine had taken a back timer, so there's going to be a bit of damage thrown into bottom tower. And even better, Ikigai and Artie are actually in a great position to try to cut off the angle from Elio and Glory to slow them down as well. So it's just free time that Slater gets on the bottom tower. It's not direct resource, but it is pretty significant resource. They don't quite crack it, and there are no plates, so Slater gets no immediate gold. But it is still a lot of.
That's a gravitum. That's a gravitum.
That's rough.
Respect the purple gun.
Yeah.
Oh, disaster. Flash loses everything here.
They do. I really appreciated the attempt there, just because, again, you're trying to get some damage into the bottom tower. You're trying to help out Slater to the best of your abilities. But again, you have nothing when it comes to defense. If he does not dodge out on what happens right there, I know you're not anticipating necessarily the aggressive, heal Gale Force into a Gravitum shot, but like Slater's got to play that a little bit more defensively when he's got the coverage from the rest of his team.
Artie just
that then ultimately led to.
Artie just weaved a Q so deep onto the Ari, and I think it baited his team because they were like, oh, I've got the passive on Ari, let's go. But no, don't go, because two of you are already dead. No-Go has to burn the Flash. Team Flash, what's going on?
Team Flash is fallen to ruin here. Again, the combination of covering for Slater and then Slater dying to a very aggressive play, to two of them shifting into bottom side to open up for a Rift Herald drop to crack mid tower. Again, it's brainless activities that are happening out of what seems like nowhere. Like these are not the teams that are playing the first 10-15 minutes of this game. These are completely different teams. It's like we're swapping completely who is actually going into gameplay. Sky doing a good job punishing in a number of those situations, but to me, neither side is actually doing great things to set themselves up for a bunch of success. It's punishing the other team for making such drastic mistakes. And again, this is one of the big ones. This was, if they had to come back to mid lane to try to defend against another play.
It's a shame that it's a shame that they didn't show the beginning, because he threw a Winter's Bite that like curved around Drakthar and tagged onto the Ari, and I think the call was just, I got them, let's go. And it's like, no, man, you still need another 3 auto attacks to proc that. It was never gonna happen.
Tough place to be. And now, I mean, gold is it's everywhere but in Aomine, but Aomine's got enough to be more than competitive, if not just better outright than Slater, because of the ambient gold that's been picked up. And Sky also has control of dragons in this game. Like, you've got no legs to stand on if you decide to burst the Sky in a game like this, which is kind of, it's horrible, because it's not indicative at all of how Sky has been able to play out, or my apologies, how Team Flash has actually looked in a number of situations. Because at one point in the beginning, the first half of Game 2, oh wow, Slater,
that is so boneheaded. He tried to, they get a kill back onto Ryu. He tried to use the zap to get the cannon minion. Glory, very, intelligently just blocks the zap. So Slater goes, no, I still want the cannon minion, and steps up. Like, what are you doing, man? That's so silver.
Back and forth between both teams. The word to describe what has happened over the back half of both games has been boneheaded. Here's another engagement. Okay, Artie misses the Q, but he goes in for the ultimate.
And he gets immediately destroyed as they turn it around with Elio. This Rakan so far has been pretty fantastic this game. The Super Mega Death Rocket will find nothing. Now they have a way into the backside as Yoshino's here. Go! Yoshino! Go!
What? They had like
traitor!
A 2-3 second window. Okay. I'm so lost here.
He had to have hookshot.
The angle was there. All he has to do is throw it over the wall, because you throw those two in tandem with one another, and all of a sudden 2 members are dead, right? Because Ikigai, he doesn't have the kick up, but he's got more than enough damage. You throw that in with the Camille, and one of them dies immediately, the other one dies quickly, and then the teleporter also probably ends up going down. This is okay. We're going back to the zap, which is unfortunate. You couldn't even walk up with the waves later. Like, okay, all right, yeah. I don't know. That's just weird, again, from Slater. This is the play in the mid lane where they end up getting the kill. I hope they fast forward to the play that actually matters here, because that's the important one.
They've got to come back to an actual fight, to be fair, as Glory has found an angle. They've got the engage. Slater has been immediately taken down. It's going to be 2 kills picked up for Sky. Ikigai has a blast cone to get out of there. But Flash are just looking terrible.
Yeah, all of a sudden, pretty much across the board is been Burst this guy who's been able to kind of command everything that's been going on across the map. Yes, there's been a couple of situations that haven't looked great, but all of a sudden Drakthar is this absolute menace inside of the game. They've got gold in the right places because Glory all of a sudden is starting to do some damage. Amine has picked up a lot of the gold that has been necessary to kind of win a game like this. And again, Ryuk has not been doing anything to push this Gnar advantage with the 2 kills at the beginning of the game, but he doesn't need to. His job is just to be the front line, to be the initiator. And here, he doesn't even have to do anything else. Nogo's punishing on bottom side. Yes, he gets a tower, but the Baron is going to go over. That's going to be more than enough gold to match, and the pushing power afterwards is going to be huge as well. It's going to have to be a massive defense from Flash to really kind of recover anything. I love that they're getting so much on the bottom side here because they're pulling camps. I was hoping they may be able to push for bottom tower as well, but 2 people going down there is going to be more than enough to dissuade it. But here, I feel like Sky is set up for such incredible success. They're up 10,000 gold. They're up 2 dragons, probably a 3rd dragon coming in soon. This Baron buff at least sets them up for soul point, if not more. If they end up getting the bottom out inner tower, there's just so much disaster that's happening across the map for Flash that it's tough to figure out where they can actually find a strike.
I feel like it has to come down to a mistake from Sky. They're in such a powerful position. There's 10,000 gold lead. The Baron buff, 2 dragons, a good scaling ADC. Oh, Slater. Oh, good. He thought about it right at the right moment, so it doesn't go down. Was very close to being tagged by a W, so he's okay. But Team Flash, they've just got to give up everything, and if they hold their inhibs, then they maintain a chance. But it's a lot of head empty, no thought.
I don't love the fact that they're like in the jungle.
What did Nogo just do?
Ulting into mid lane.
What did he just do?
Why are we ulting away from bottom tower?
Rebel, I'm about to just walk. I'm about to just turn the stream off.
This is unreal. There's just so much. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know where these thoughts are coming from because we've seen these decisions be made better before. I guess there's a fight coming down into the mid lane, but they could just turn for mid tower. Yeah, they get that. This is so much damage done by the first Baron buff.
Yeah, and now they're losing a 2nd inhibitor. Drakthar is taking a lot of damage, but it doesn't matter because he is just able to walk away. They actually hold the inhib because the caster minion decides not to finish it off.
No!
Grab a tumult, and now they might have overextended a little bit. Ryuk has a full Gnar bar, but doesn't pull the trigger. Triggle? What did I just say? Trigger.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're allowed to have a brain fart. We've seen too many of them from these 2 teams.
Yeah, I play for Flash.
This is true. Okay, well, this will be at least Infernal Soul setup now for the side of Sky, which is humongous. And again, they got bottom inhibitor, which is way more than you should get on the first Baron. And because of that weird mistake that they made, although I will give it to this, right? Had they not ulted into the mid wave with no-go, maybe one of those minions survives and one auto attack comes through and they lose the mid lane inhibitor. So maybe you could grasp at straws and say maybe that was actually the biggest brain like outplay of all recorded history, if that was actually the intention, which it definitely was not.
I mean, maybe
there's no way you could do that kind of calculation. What happened
Slater,
here with the ultimate?
Slater died.
What? Slater.
Slater's having a clanger. Oh, and they're just back. Sky don't want to keep playing. They want to just end the game. Yoshino will be falling to the ignite of Elio. They walk forward. Yoshino, Artie, Slater, all dead. And Sky, after game 1, really looked like Flash was going to be the easy victor. They fight back. They get the 2 wins in a row. And they put a 2nd series onto the board when they decide to stop padding their stats and actually break the tower. As in goes Drakthar and Elio stacking up. Really good Xin Zhao play there, dealing a hell of a lot of damage, even if he is still just padding his stats. Good job, Sky. Who really wins? I'm not sure. But the Nexus does fall.
It's to me, at least for Sky,